Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast presented by TrueMark Financial. We've got a 4-person roundtable coming your way the day after the big Tush Push news. We've got Zach Berman, our Eagles insider. We've got the professor, Deniz Selman, and we've got the ALLCITY NFL draft expert, and much more than that, Fran Duffy. Fran, how are you?
Doing great. Watched some South Carolina film this morning. It's a crappy day outside, but it's spring. It could be better.
What was your reaction to the news yesterday that the Tush Push is here to stay?
Oh, my initial reaction was I can't wait until 2 o'clock to be able to listen to Bo and Zach break it all down. So that was my initial reaction. But no, I mean, a little surprised because it felt like a lot of the buzz leading in was that it was going to go the other way. But it's been fun to kind of take in all of the reporting since then on what led to that decision.
Well, let's get to that. Zach, I want to ask you, because you've done some reporting behind the scenes. You have more information for us than we had on yesterday's show. Before we get to you, though, Deniz, as a as the true Eagles fan here, how much did you puff your chest out to the news that Jeffrey went to the mat and defended the Tush Push for all of Philadelphia?
It was a fun day for sure. I mean, more fun than you'd expect to have from a May owners meetings following the news as a fan. I don't want to pat myself on the back too much, but I have been predicting that it would not be banned.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, we talked about it on the show. It just seemed like from the way that it got a 16-16 straw poll in March, the very awkward process of rewording. I don't think you guys talked about this on the show, but when I was on last Friday, it's Albert Breer had reported that it was not going to be reworded, and then it got reworded in a very clunky way. They completely scrapped the proposal from March.
It would have been very difficult to litigate.
Yeah, but also the way they worded it was very clumsy. It looked like someone had 7 seconds to change the existing rule, and very quickly it was there was a rule against interlocking interference, which is basically hugging your own teammate and carrying him. They got rid of that. They made that not be a rule anymore. And then instead they said you cannot aid a teammate in any way other than individually blocking for him, which seems to take out double team blocks. Sure. It seems to take out any kind of deception, play action or anything. Obviously that was not the intention, but it was worded in a very awkward way. Just the whole process seemed very clumsy, and I just didn't see them convincing 8 of the 16 teams to flip based on that. And they came close. They flipped 6. They flipped 6 of them. And you guys talked about who they were yesterday, but it was.
Okay, well,
the result was what I was
You
expecting.
used the phrase awkward rewording about the way that they did that, and I think that is a good connection for us to ask Zach about what you have learned about Jeffrey Lurie's speech, his impassioned plea to the owners and the other high-ranking team officials.
Yes, this is my understanding from inside the building, is that, first off, the Eagles went into yesterday morning, into the meeting, expecting this to be overturned. This was not the result they expected when the day started. I imagine they listened to you, but they also, the report, and I'm going to defend some of the national reporters. I don't think there was any faulty reporting going into this. I think this was the sentiment going in that this was going to be overturned, similar to what Bo and I talked about. Also, in that these things don't typically go to vote unless you have the votes. And so I think the Eagles expected, or they thought this would be overturned, but they thought there was a fighting chance. They thought there was a chance to get in the room and make a pitch. And that's what Jeffrey Lurie was there for, right? Jeffrey Lurie wanted to defend, from my understanding, the play, the team, the franchise, right?
Oh.
He felt a little targeted, if you will.
Sure, as he should.
Yeah.
Yeah. So delivered an impassioned speech that My understanding is there was use of facts and data. That there were anecdotes.
Wow, anecdotes.
Yes, and we've heard. I mean, at the owners' meetings, he was I thought articulate and gave convincing arguments about the lack of injury rate and the I'm poking holes at the aesthetic argument. And then my understanding, and by the way, this was first reported by ESPN and The Athletic, right? So what I got was more confirmation, but context too, that in the moment, off the cuff remark, he used an analogy to being. I asked this on Anthony's show. Are we allowed? Am I allowed to quote it here?
100%.
Quote, like a wet dream for a teenage boy. And he was trying to make the case that he used it. So the context with which he used it was this. Okay,
he was so silly.
He was trying to drive home the point that it's this dream scenario that you have a play that you develop, refine, coach, hone, whatever verb you want to use here. And the play becomes so successful that the only way it can be stopped is by your opponents banning it. All right, and so that it was portrayed to me that it was like a dream.
A dream so beautiful and fanciful that it brings you to climax.
a dream, so that it was a dream scenario. Now, it was a colorful use of term but
this is so ridiculous.
As you know, as you well know, Bo, sometimes you need to be colorful to drive home a point, right? And to really for effect there.
I mean, it's very funny, but it's not that big of a deal.
I understand, but this is I'm
no,
conveying.
I know.
Yeah, I'm conveying.
It's not you.
Oh, yeah.
It's that they need to feel the need to defend it.
And in that he also wanted to make clear at the end of his speech that no matter what the outcome is, if they walk out of there without with this being banned, that they're still winners because they won a Super Bowl with this play. And so that was like that was the big closing, the Aaron Sorkin closing line, if you will. And that they would be successful either way. But they felt it was important, and when by they, Jeffrey Lurie, felt it was important to fight for the principle that this was based on principle as much as anything else. That they feel as if they were targeted for their success, that this was happening to them. And that Jeffrey,
a very reasonable position,
that Jeffrey had to stand up for the play, for the team, for the franchise. And it was conveyed that if there's a player who has a strategic advantage, let's say Patrick Mahomes is really good at throwing sidearm passes, you wouldn't ban the player from playing in the game.
Right. Yep.
So why do you take a play that's successful and ban the play? And that and it was that the team felt it's easier to try to take a play out than a player out or a team out, and so that was why Jeffrey was vociferous in his defense, and that they obviously brought in or Jason Kelce came and was part of this as well, but that it was portrayed to me that Jeffrey was passionate in his defense of this play.
We are going to get to the wet dreams of it all, but let's stay on Jeffrey for a second, because I do think it is important a day later to think back on this. What can an owner do, right? An owner can do a lot, and a big part of the reason that the Eagles have been successful is because Jeffrey is willing to pay for a lot of things. He's willing to take some short-term cash hit in order to benefit the salary cap. He most importantly cares about winning, and so funds the things that matter to winning. But those are behind the scenes things. Those are macro things. For Jeffrey, it must have felt so good because this was his game day.
Yes.
This was his chance to get on the field and help his football team. And for him to know going in that he's probably a little bit against the odds, maybe it was 40-60. Going into it in their minds, turkey-wise. And for him to deliver this speech wet dreams or not, and come out on the other side, like he's got to be feeling really good. Like this was his game.
To me, that final line, that to me indicates that they thought they were on the losing side.
Right. You wouldn't say that.
You wouldn't say that if you thought, like, to me, that's like, it's almost like when you guys have done the role playing exercise, and when Zach, when you have come in a little too hard and you're defensive Nick Sirianni, and you're like, Nick would never say that if he's pleading for his job. To me, like, he went so over that to me, like said, like, yeah, I don't think Jeffrey thought they were going to win this.
It's almost perfect. It's almost perfect, right? Because it's like you're saying, if you think you're going to lose, that's a great line. It's like, we're champs anyway. Like, look at my ring, right? But also, it's a little bit of it's not like you're going to beat me with this. You know what I mean? Like, it almost works also to dissuade it getting banned, because you're like, it's not like you're going to have shown me, like, you know, Ray Dininger was on with John Clark last night, and I was listening to that, and he gave an interesting historical.
Does that upset you, Zach?
Comparison.
That you listen to that first, or did you also listen to that?
I haven't listened to that yet. But it doesn't.
Between the two of you, I mean, we've got everything covered.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, Ray obviously knows the history.
On Dylan's podcast.
What's that? I have not yet. No, I haven't listened to that yet.
Lou Nichols was on
I have it on my schedule for tonight.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's okay. Well,
and by the way, very exciting new episode of the Exciting Mics out with Saquon Barkley. We're going to play a couple fun clips from that later in the show.
So the Diddy was talking about in the 70s.
I don't think we want to be calling him the Diddy anymore.
That's a good point. Yeah. Sorry. Been calling him that for so long.
Yeah. Well,
I think Von Hebron called him that first.
Hard to think of two more diametrically opposed people.
Okay, yes. Ray Dininger, Hall of Famer, was talking about the Steelers teams from the 1970s. You'd have to think a long time to come up with two more different people. You're right. After they won 4 Super Bowls after the 1979 season is when they came up with illegal contact, because their defenses were so good. Illegal contact rule to ban bump and run coverage by defensive backs, and it was the first time offensive linemen were allowed to extend their arms to pass block, and that was in part because they couldn't block the Steelers without being allowed to do that, and so they changed those rules. And how for those Steelers teams, it was like, and Steelers fans at the time, it was a source of pride that, like, you know, we won so many Super Bowls, we were so dominant that they had to change all of the rules, and like how that combined with the West Coast offense coming in to the league a few years later changed it into a more offensive league, and how like the Steelers' dominant defenses were basically stopped by the rules more than anything else. So this is silly because it's just one play. It's not like every play on defense like the Steelers was. But that whole thing of, like, you know, we were so good, so much bigger than you, so much stronger than you, so much better than you, that you had to ban our play would have been something that they could walk away with for sure.
Yeah, I think Fran hit it on the head too in terms of, like, that. My understanding, like, it was specifically said to me, they didn't think this was going. They thought this was going to be banned. Mm-hmm. They thought they had to bring their A game, if you will, but this was just their shot to state their case. But they expected this to be banned. So I think Bo hit it on the head. Like, this is a chance for them to stick their chest out. Like, they convinced, you know, there were, I don't know who the swing voters were,
right? But
they convinced those swing voters, right? There was, and it was a miscalculation on the league's part, or I don't want to absolve the Packers, but it's funny, you know, there's, in sports reporting, they say, like, when you cover a coach who gets fired, that's like the best time to cover, because everyone wants to kind of talk. And in politics, if you cover the losing election, like, everyone wants to throw blame on, like, and so I imagine in this situation, when there's when your vote loses, everyone's trying to, like, and so PFT had this, Pro Football Talk had this report today. The Packers were just doing the league's bidding, and they actually don't care about the play at all, right? And so the league, though, I think, thought they had the votes. I think that's why, as Bo said yesterday, like, Roger is supposed to be Switzerland, and even his draft in his press conference at the draft, and or his he was on the McAfee show, maybe he was talking about, like, why this play could be banned, and I think the fact that it went to vote shows that. And so and then also regarding Jeffrey, I think sometimes it's okay to seem like human and have a personality, and
totally agree.
So I'm going to defer to you for like where to go with this, but I think it's totally fine to be, and I imagine fans find this endearing that he stood up for his team, he stood up for his fan base, he stood up for the play, and he won.
I will tell you after the break what it is that I did truly find offensive about the reporting from yesterday's meeting. But before we get to that, I do want to say from the Eagles didn't necessarily expect to win. They did at the very least have the social media team prepped in the possibility that they did win.
Yeah. And
what do you think they would have done if they lost?
I'm sure they had a plan either way. But yeah, it was, and from what I understand, that was a post that was created like from the social team, like had that ready. And that was that was an internal idea. So yeah, push on. That was outstanding.
And that was a spur of the moment. Push on.
No, the push on. They had that prepped.
Because they had a 26-minute Tush Push video already.
Look, in 2025, it stands to reason that a lot of social promotion, a lot of stuff that comes from NFL teams, from big brands, is like. It's not necessarily the people like doing the creating that are coming up with a lot of these ideas. But yeah, that was from the Eagles social team.
How about this real quick on the social? There were 10 tweets or X's, however you want to tweets on. X's. There are 10 tweets on the Tush Push. There was one tweet on your head coach getting a contract extension. Like that's it's just interesting the way the organization wanted to celebrate one thing compared to the other thing.
Yeah, it is interesting, considering some of the things that Anthony was hinting at the other morning. So we'll get to that later. First, a word from our sponsors, and then we will continue talking about wet dreams. A picture is worth 1,000 words, and our friend at Art of Words, the local Philly artist, proves that. Each piece is made entirely from handwritten words, like every eagle forming the link or every Philly shaping Citizens Bank Park. It's not just sports. He has captured things like Boathouse Row, Reading Terminal, the Philly skyline, the Jersey Shore, and more. We are talking here about unforgettable gifts for sports fans, grads, housewarmings, Father's Day, any occasion. He started selling art in the K-Lot and Rice's Flea Market and credits Philly fans for launching his career. And it's not just Philly-centric things. If you've got family members who are fans of other teams and other sports, there's all kinds of great Art of Words products. You can check them out at artofwords.com. That's artofwords.com. He's been featured on the Today Show, ESPN, and TED Talks. And, we're going to butter your bread a little bit. Use code PHLY at checkout for 15% off your purchase at Art of Words.
We'll now hear from our friends at Pabst Light, because my assumption is after the Eagles got that big win yesterday, guys, they had to celebrate. And what better way to celebrate than to sling back a few Pabst Lights with some of your buddies, with some of your coworkers? A big day at the NovaCare complex yesterday. So let's end it up with some Pabst Lights. Maybe they go out on the deck overlooking the practice field. Maybe they go down to the cafeteria. Like that, wherever they celebrate.
I mean, Jeffrey's office.
Yeah, go to Jeffrey's office. Yeah. It's a pretty good vantage point, pretty good spot to celebrate. Pabst Light, a new light modern beer from Pabst Brewing Company. 96 calories, 3.5 grams of carbs, and a full, crisp, refreshing flavor. They used high-quality ingredients that you can get that high-quality beer at a smart, approachable price. It retains that fun and independent spirit that Pabst is known for, but it's light, so you still feel pretty good afterwards. Learn more about the new Pabst Light at pabstlight.com. Please drink responsibly. Must be 21 or older.
All right. Wet Dream Gate. I have seen some formerly well-regarded national media figures describe the Eagles this offseason as very clearly the horniest team in football, which I think is in the neighborhood of the truth, but somehow a little bit too far away to call correct.
In the neighborhood, like 10 feet away?
That's what I'm saying. Yes, you're picking up what I'm putting down. Now, the horny may apply to Eli Ricks's reasons for visiting the White House. When I'm thinking about the celebration of butts that the Tush Push itself is, or Howie Roseman's comparison of winning the Super Bowl to having sex, and Jeffrey Lurie's callback to his sticky teenage years, this is not about horniness. This is about sex positivity and body positivity. And as nakedly fraudulent Puritanism seems to be forcing its way upon this country to a dystopian degree, the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles should be celebrated for embracing the things that make our heart race, what makes us human. Which brings me to Troy Vincent. He of the reported sanctimonious faux outrage. How dare Jeffrey Lurie make such a crude remark to utter the phrase wet dream in front of women? Oh! Spare me. Consider for a moment this performative umbrage was taken in the same room with people like Robert Kraft and Jerry Jones, in the rooms where the likes of Daniel Snyder and Jerry Richardson once sat, to pretend that adult women who have risen in the ranks of an old boys network like the NFL and are no doubt way more qualified than their male counterparts should instead be considered little girls whose virgin ears you must protect lest you lose value to their dowry, is magnitudes more offensive and anti-feminist than clumsily referencing wet dreams. I think Troy Vincent should be ashamed of himself.
Are you asking me a question? Yeah, I mean, my understanding is, and Seth Wickersham from ESPN did a great job reporting this, that Troy Vincent chastised Jeffrey Lurie in front of the group for using that term around women.
There are women here.
Yeah, like I think when you frame it like that, that's a little ridiculous, right? Like it's like, oh, it's, I wouldn't be offended by this if you didn't. Yeah, I'm with you there.
But when we get back to the locker room, all we're going to talk about is wet dreams.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
let's let the women leave.
This is a thing. This is a physiological thing.
Then we can make an off-color. Yeah. So if you want to say like that's unprofessional for our owners' meetings or something like that, we can have that debate. Sure. I think it's I don't think it's like an offensive. I mean, I don't know who's offended.
It's not an offensive
thing. Are teenage boys offended by this? Like, I'm wondering, if, it is off color, right? It is like, it's a colorful remark. I get that. And it's not one I would use like in a persuasive argument.
Yeah.
But I also, I'm with Bo in terms of like, spare me. How dare you use this around female owners, right? Like I'm with you there.
Especially for a league that, I mean, how many players are on rosters right now that with domestic violence and sexual violence against women? Like,
it's like the signal and the noise, right? Yeah. It's like let's figure out what actually matters. So.
Absolutely, ridiculous. What do you make of Troy Vincent being a former Eagle?
Troy Vincent,
is he totally dead to you?
I mean, I feel like this is more like just. I'm not going to be able to come up with specific things, but I feel like every single time I've read something that Troy Vincent has said or done, I've thought that he's just a complete loser, like since he's been working for the league. Like, wasn't he like very anti-celebrations? Like he wanted more taunting flags. He's like a big part of the like, ridiculous. Let's make sure no one shows their personality because otherwise like all our, fans will be afraid of the players or whatever. Like, I feel like that's been one of the things that he's been behind. At least that's what I associate him with. This is, I think you put it very well, his stance on this.
And John Runyon being the one that comes down on unnecessary roughness penalties. Like it's also comical that way.
That has a little bit more of a like, hire the hacker, kind of vibe. Yeah. Like that makes some sense to me. But the Troy Vincent thing, I mean, he's,
I mean, I'll tell the audience, Troy Vincent's very influential in the league for these types of manners, for stuff with the competition committee, rules with the game. He spoke, for instance, that's like what his job is. Anything that's to do with like on the field player conduct, and he spoke at the league meetings to Professor Selman's point about celebrations that kids are watching and that they need to penalize celebrations that have.
Girls might be watching.
Oh, I thought you were laughing at penal.
No.
Should I say penalize?
He's going to chastise Zach after the show for saying penal.
Penalize.
Troy's going to burst through the door. We have women in the chat.
Yeah, there are women in the chat.
I've enjoyed all my interactions with Troy Vincent, but look, anyone who follows Eagles history knows that there was some baggage at the way that ended. Yeah. I don't know what the nature of the relationship is now. Like he works for the league, not for the team. But we all remember the exits of, at that time, it didn't seem any veteran exited in a harmonious way.
Right.
Troy Vincent being one of them, right? So, but I don't know if anything was intended toward the team. He is honored. He has been honored by Jeffrey Lurie and the team since his exit. But there is, of all things to chastise someone about, right? Like this,
absolutely
ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's let's keep our eye on the ball here, if you will.
He had been in the building a handful
That
of
was
times.
not a pun. Okay?
He was in the building a handful of times, like over the years.
Yeah.
So I think my guess is that things are relatively smooth there. I would say, just going back to, honestly, like Deniz's early point about the language being clumsily redone. I think that speaks to the reporting that this was an NFL spurned thing and not a Green Bay Packers thing. Because it feels like the league was hoping the Packers were going to do their homework and they just didn't. And then last minute was like, oh, we have to get this done. Like that's to me, like, that's how it kind of read to me.
And maybe some hesitancy on the Packers' part to continue to do their work after the initial straw poll looked like it might not pass, right? Because they don't want to be the team that tried to do this and failed.
Yep.
What do you really think is behind the league's distaste for this play? Or do you think that their umbrage was at the behest of some other team or some other owner?
Or is it four-dimensional chess to stay in the news cycle?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've disagreed with Bo on this that it's specifically about the Eagles, and I know.
But of course, it's about the Eagles. They're the only ones who do it.
But my point is, if a different team ran this play,
we're Super Bowl champions though,
and we're on TV all the time.
Yeah, if I'm giving the league the benefit of the doubt, and I don't know if they deserve the benefit of the doubt, but if I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, I would frame it in the spirit of the shift rule in baseball, that they are afraid of the slippery slope of it becoming a play that is used so frequently that it hinders your experience watching the game. The same way baseball saw when every team started to do the shift, and it affected the quality of viewing in the game, right? And it seemed like it wasn't quite baseball at that point. The health and safety thing doesn't add up. Now, you can... I know that there are people, and there are people I respect who I've spoken to about this, who say, what happens when a quarterback gets injured on this play? The Eagles are going to look foolish. To me, that's like saying if Saquon Barkley gets injured on an inside zone next year, well, the Eagles stop running inside zone, right? Like it's a football, if it's a football play, you can get injured on it. That's the reality of it. Now, if teams start doing things in such as like a response to this, where
like Frankie Louvu,
the Frankie Louvu thing, but that has more to do with sour grapes than it would to do with the play itself. My guess is it has to do with the aesthetics of the play, and the shift rule would be the comparison I would give.
It's interesting because the entertainment value thing doesn't really pass muster to me either, because they have this thing, this lightning rod thing.
Yeah.
They're looking this gift horse in the mouth. It is something that people are talking about, and when the Eagles line up for the Tush Push, everybody is all of a sudden a little bit more interested than I think they would be on a regular quarterback sneak on 3rd and 1.
Absolutely. I mean, in the stadium, the crowd just like gets so excited every time I'm about to run it. I mean, like that never happened on normal QB sneaks before. You know what I mean? It's like the team has to tell the crowd to be quiet so that they can get the playoff like without a false start because they're so loud.
I think it could be that there's just some high-ranking TV executive who just has told Roger he doesn't like to play.
It could be that, but I think so. Take the Niners-Eagles NFC Championship game when Josh Johnson gets hurt. That game was still relatively close, right? And what if the 49ers just said, all right, we're just going to put in, Kittle or Juszczyk, and we're just going to do 3 yards at a time. That would have
been fascinating.
Try to matriculate downfield, take off 15 minutes on the clock, and keep this a 1-score game. I think aesthetically that won't be, that would be an undesirable way of watching football, right? It's like Virginia defense and when Tony Bennett was there. So that's the only plausible explanation I can think of. There's nothing else that adds up otherwise.
But that would be more like the 70s Steelers thing, where it's like the league didn't think that football was entertaining enough because those Steelers defenses were so good that there just weren't enough points scored. And so they had to change the rules, kind of like the way they had to do in the NBA in the 90s.
Yeah.
Because the game was getting less entertaining, they had to change the rules. If the Eagles could get 3 yards on this play 90% of the time instead of 1 yard, and they actually kept doing that, and that's the way they drove down the field, then I would be all for a change, because it would be like, okay, this has gotten ridiculous. Yeah. Like they're not even throwing the ball at all anymore. It's actually not entertaining. Change the rule so that you can't do that. But that's not what it is. It only gets you 1 yard.
Yeah, but they're focused.
So it doesn't come up often enough to matter.
The slippery slope, though, is that if you say this is a football play, all right, you rep this enough that you can start getting 2-3 yards on this type of play, then what happens? Now, I think that's a dramatic stretch that would occur, but it's
also not the argument they're making.
Right.
No.
Yeah. They're not saying it's going to go in that direction. They're saying someone's going to get hurt,
Yeah, which is, it's football. I mean, I hate to tell you, like, someone's going to get hurt playing football.
Well, to talk about how sincere these arguments are, I think it's worth doing a quick breakdown of who voted for and against this. I know you guys did this to some degree yesterday. I posted yesterday on social media that of the 14 teams that the Eagles play next season, only the Lions voted to keep the play. The other 13 voted to ban. I think it's worth looking at the other 17 teams. The other 17 teams are evenly split, 9-8, 9-9 if you include the Eagles. So that, to me, it's not a coincidence, right? Either the Eagles are just very bizarrely only playing the teams concerned with safety and pace of play next year, or these are teams that are directly worried about getting hurt by the Eagles, and you can take it one step further.
You know what it reminds me of?
Oh, the COVID? Yes. How all the players who were starters got COVID. Yeah, that was just a statistical miracle. Yeah, that was unbelievable. It is very similar to that. And you could even take it further. If you look at it by NFC and AFC, the non-opponent NFC teams were still overwhelmingly voted to ban. The Saints were the only NFC team of the 6 the Eagles don't play to ban it. Atlanta, Carolina, Seattle, Arizona, San Francisco. None of them play the Eagles next year, but they're all in the NFC.
Yeah.
So if you take all NFC teams plus the 5 AFC teams the Eagles play next year, that's 20 teams. 18 of them voted to ban. 90%. Take the other 11 teams, only 4 of them voted to ban. 36%. So, I mean, 90% of the teams that are directly interacting with the Eagles next year. What are you doing, Zach?
Sorry, I was putting the overshirt. I didn't like the way the undershirt looked sloppy on the screen. So
I thought you looked good.
I was trying to do it in a subtle way.
I thought these numbers were just getting you really excited.
I agree with you. I made that point on Anthony's show today. Keep going, man.
Wet Dreams is in the icon of the show. I think undo one more button.
No, I mean, that's all you need to know is like 18 of 20 teams that are either competing with the Eagles in the standings or on the field next year voted to ban, and only 4 of the other 11 voted to ban. All the entire AFC East voted to ban it, except the Bills. And the Bills actually run the play. Yeah. And the one thing the Bills have in common with those other teams we talked about is the Bills play the Eagles next year. None of the other AFC East teams do.
Now, to be fair to the Bills, is they were outspoken about this
from the jump.
Yeah, from the jump. But you are absolutely correct. It's a statistical anomaly that every team except the Lions would be against this. And by the way, and we said this yesterday, you have to come away from this respecting the Lions.
Yeah.
The Lions are bring it
on. We might be going a little overboard of the Lions deserve a lot of credit, but I think they kind of do.
Yeah, it's like they're the only grown-ups in the room, if you will. Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree they deserve some credit, but I mean, they would have looked ridiculous if they had voted against it. Just given,
but they would have
given
been
their
everybody else.
Yeah, not as ridiculous as Gannon and Steichen. I mean,
no, yeah, I mean, I am excited to ask Nick about this.
Yes.
The next time we get to talk to him.
Right.
But do you think that it was as simple as this is the reason they wanted to get it away from the coaches and have just the owners in the room?
Yeah,
I
think so.
It's got to be, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think Colts in Arizona are
that's Gannon's defense. Oh, Nick, I'm on your side, but Mr. Bidwell,
he's gonna do whatever Roger says.
Yeah, Mr. Bidwell, this was his thing, and I made my case for you, Nick, right? And I am, by the way, to the audience, my thoughts are with Irsay's family and Jim Irsay's family.
Of course.
Sorry about that timing.
That was tough yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
no regrets.
Yeah. But similarly, Shane Steichen will probably say Nick, I know I'm a beneficiary of this play, but this was out of my hands, right? This was the owner's call.
When you look at the teams that flipped, from what they had said outgoing over the course of the spring, and then who went the other way yesterday. To me, I looked at the through line as a lot of those owners were ones that I think are more falling in line with Roger Goodell. Yes,
okay,
exactly.
So that's Arizona,
I stand by
Indianapolis.
That's the reason that the Patriots voted against it is just Kraft
Roger.
hates Goodell.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. That was that. No question.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other tush push thoughts?
I was thinking about this as I was watching the show yesterday.
Okay.
Because the news came out about Hard Knocks,
Yeah.
and to me, it's very similar to like, the coach and GM salaries aren't public information, so they would never do this. The league absolutely, because they're looking for different spins on Hard Knocks. They should do a Hard Knocks on these votes for the owners' meetings. Like I would have watched an episode where like the opening, like the cold open, they fade from black, and it's like part of Jeffrey's speech, and it's like dun dun dun, dun like coming out of it. Like I absolutely would watch.
And then
that.
He gives the line, and
the owners would never agree to it.
Yeah,
for obvious reasons. But yeah, like that would be. I would absolutely watch the hell out of that Hard Knocks episode.
Now, Professor, we have talked about, from a football standpoint, that sometimes maybe it feels like they lean a little bit too much on the tush push.
Yeah.
But this season, is there a pettiness in you that wants to see them run it even more?
A little. I mean, at Lambeau especially, just start the game with one, maybe, just as or at least line up like you're going to do it, and then just run a normal play.
And then just motion out.
Yeah, motion out and just run a normal play. I think that would be
just as
really
a little
cool.
FU,
little message.
Not actually do it, but line up for it and then motion out,
and then just run a normal play. Yeah, totally. I think that'd be cool.
Run a handoff.
I think that'd be cool. Maybe do it a few plays.
Yeah.
I was thinking at the end of the game, instead of taking a knee, just do 3 of those, just bowl them over, But I think that you're right, and we've talked about this so much, that the fact that they know they have that in their back pocket,
especially in the red zone.
Yes, especially in the high red zone. Yeah, like they seem to run it a little. I mean. Not to stay too on brand here, but
it's fine.
Just running it too much on like second and long, especially with the thought that, hey, maybe we can get close enough that we can just sneak it and won't really have to convert a real third down, right? So that's part of the problem. But on the flip side of that, Sirianni, who is not necessarily always as aggressive as I want him to be on fourth down decisions, ends up going for it on fourth down so much more than he would because of this play. That I think that probably matters more than the being a little too conservative on second down. Like it's like you have to take both things there. And the fact that as a fan, I pretty much know he's going to go for it on 4th and 1, including from his own 29, from his own 39-yard line, right? Like he's done that, like the start drives. That's not like he would never do that if he didn't have this play.
I think that's probably
and so I think it's and that's one of the things I was going to worry about going into next year if they had banned it. As much as everyone says, well, they'll be good with the normal sneaks too. Good enough that Sirianni's going to go for it on 4th and 1 from his own 39? Maybe not, right? And so then you're just punting it a little bit more. So I like that it stayed for that reason.
Well, branching off that a bit, I have one take that I was workshopping in the car.
I'm excited to hear this.
I think Jalen probably wanted it banned. First off,
I think I like this take.
Jalen really dislikes the line of questioning about the tush push. I mean, when he was on the Tonight Show and like Jimmy Fallon brought it up, like it got him so pissed off. He was like, "That's not even what we call it," And the questions bug him about it.
Yeah.
But more than that, and Bo and I have talked about this. I think Jalen wants a little more credit for his role in this. Like he's the one carrying the ball. He's the one scoring it.
I think even the tush aspect of it,
exactly,
too. Like it infantilizes him.
Yes, exactly. He 100%. I don't think he always tells them like don't call it that, but because like.
Do any of
them jokes?
I mean, Jordan Mailata talked about how he didn't like it called that either. Do any of them like that name?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but
sexy.
But it's always framed like Jalen's getting his tush pushed, and I don't think Jalen likes that. Number one, but also, I think Jalen wants a little myth making, a little credit here, and the other quarterbacks aren't.
The flip side is he would not have as many touchdowns without it.
But no, I think he feels
like he would.
He feels like he will. He feels like. He and the offensive line are the keys here.
I know, but I do think that with Saquon, like if they get down to the 1 on first down, they're not going right to the quarterback sneak.
Yeah, they're doing it on first down, exactly.
But
he's going to end up shattering the record for quarterback rushing touchdowns, like in NFL history, because of this play.
Like
I think that's a good take.
But Fran, correct me if I'm wrong, he was outstanding on these short yardage runs in college.
Yeah.
He is stronger than most quarterbacks. he
squats 600 pounds.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard that.
Well, all the more tushing for the pushing.
The strategy is there. So I think Jalen wants a little more credit, and because it's portrayed here like the play and not the player. I think Jalen thinks the player has a lot more to do with it.
I've gotten in debates.
Because I did speak to someone who this was a year and a half ago, who said who knows Jalen really well, and says to me, the key to that play is Jalen, right? And it's like someone who's like gives Jalen's side of the story on things. Mm-hmm. And so I think that I think Jalen knows that the narrative has been the play.
It is actually, and you know what? It is actually, it's more of a Nick thing.
Yeah, it's a good point too.
The tush push is a little bit more of a Nick thing.
Yes, it's a good point too.
What were you going to say?
Well, about the name, the team could easily have, I know they tried to adopt the brotherly shove. They're super secretive about what they really call it, even though we all know they call it the Snoopy. You could argue the Snoopy's not like, well, first of all, it's not like trademarkable or anything because it already is trademarked by someone else. Can you like why don't they try to make, like, they could make that more public? Maybe they don't like that name.
I think it's because
it can't really be because they don't want the other team to know what it's called.
Yeah,
like if we all know what it's called and we're talking about it, all the players have talked about it on their podcasts. The other teams know what it's called. Like, also when you line up for it, it's very obvious what they're doing.
Yeah, but they have
Fran's
variations.
got a big grin on his face.
Well, because honestly, when you were talking about trademarking, all I could think of was we talked about the Eagles social media post yesterday as soon as the announcement happened, and then hours later to have the Fanatics T-shirt with the push on. Did you see that? I wonder. As soon as I saw that, I said, Bo is going to throw up in his mouth when he sees this post.
Yeah. No, I think, though, Professor Selman, they don't want the name they use on the field out there for because if you don't use that terminology, then teams might think there's a variation that you have to it. And I also don't think that teams are listening to Darius Slay's podcast like that
No, I think once the name is out there, I think
it's all okay.
I think
it's like NBA players where they all know.
Makes them aware of it. Yeah. All right, we got to take a quick break. On the other side, we're going to hear a little bit from the Saquon appearance on the Exciting Mikes podcast to give you a little taste of that. Deniz wants to talk about the way that the Eagles have turned over the roster on defense and any more tush push wet dreams that you guys have. Empire Today. How do you spot an Empire Today employee? They're never looking up. They're always looking down. All they care about is flooring. And if you want to get the flooring fixed in your home, you got to go to the experts. And there's only one place to find the experts. That is Empire Today. With Empire Today, they will bring the flooring options to you. So you can pick the right flooring and the right colors for your space, see how it looks in your house, with your furniture, with all of your stuff, and not just guessing. That's not English. Don't just guess about it. Guess no, not here. Get precise measurements taken and have all of your questions answered so there are no surprises. With Empire Today, you get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. PHLY listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code PHLY. You heard that right. $350 off with code PHLY. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/PHLY for full details.
So my daughter needed something from a sporting goods store for a school event, and I'm purchasing it online for her. And we're in the shopping cart, and I see I'm paying for shipping. And if I just add $12 more, I get free shipping here. And so, Reed, do you need something for baseball season or for summer camp or something like that? Because I didn't want to pay for the shipping. I wanted the free shipping. And I realized I probably ended up paying more money than I would have paid with the shipping. But I have a financial blind spot here, and that's I don't like to pay for shipping, right? And so we all we're all tracking where our money goes, but we have to understand that there are common financial blind spots. For some people, it's dining out. Some people, it's food delivery. Some people, it's online shopping. Some people, it's retail therapy, rideshare services, concerts and entertainment, shipping. for something. Finances can be messy and confusing. Monarch Money acts like your personal CFO. Imagine if you have your own CFO at home. That's great. It gives you full visibility and control so you can stop earning and start growing. This is Monarch Money. With Monarch Money, you see that what you waste money on. You see that you're overspending on a certain product here, a certain product there. If you're stressed about your finances, you realize what causes that stress. I think tracking spending is important because you always want that rainy day fund. You want your money to be able to make money for you. And so you want to be careful with that. Start managing your finances to build the life you actually want. Monarch makes managing money simple, even for busy lives. Monarch Money is the finance tool people actually loved. It was named the Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025. It's the top recommended personal finance app by users and experts with over 30,000 five-star reviews. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use code PHLY at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code PHLY.
All right. As our listeners continue to soak up the afterglow of having won a Super Bowl, you try to figure out where the Eagles rank historically. Interestingly enough, Saquon Barkley brought this up on his appearance on the Exciting Mics. Tyler, do we have that clip to play? Fantastic. Let's hear it.
I firmly believe when you look at our team that we had last year, and I know we're not looking too far into the past, but our team last year, I think we're a top 5 team of all time. And I tell my boys this all the time. Like, we started off 2-2, and we lost to Washington. Jalen got hurt that game.
Yeah.
But if you really look at the season outside of the first 4 games, like, it was belt to ass.
It was dominant.
And like from how dominant you guys were on defense and how dominant we were on offense and special team, like people don't realize how great of a team that actually was.
We were working together.
Yeah.
Like it's cool.
And it's crazy to see the turnaround like after, those first 4 weeks, because I don't think like a lot of us didn't even play in the preseason. Yeah. So I think you guys got like one drive.
You didn't play at all. No.
So those first 4 games were kind of, everybody just
we're getting used to everything.
Trying to work together.
Like, obviously, you have training camp, but like it's kind of different when it's just in game. Like how your coach really is. Like how's he calling the game? Like getting used to that and kind of getting used to the guys you play with. But yeah, after the bye week,
I think we just all bought in.
We just bought in.
Yeah, I think we all just bought in, and like you hear like the outside noise and expectation. Like we didn't care how it looked. Only thing we cared about was winning football games. And when you have the talent and the skill that we have in our team mixed with the coaches, we all play together like how we played. Like teams really stood no chance.
Right.
And you've seen that in the playoffs, and you've seen that in the Super Bowl. Like I mean, the score finished was 40-20 something, but in reality, it wasn't even really a game.
Yeah. Top 5 team of all time. That's
big.
Listen, I really think when we look back on that 10 to 15 years and we're all old and we're reflecting on our glory days,
10, 15 years.
Hopefully next year, the year we're in right now, but the year that we had last year, people don't give us enough credit.
I'd probably have to agree on that. Do you know who else would be in that conversation?
I mean, you got the Ravens, 2000 Ravens. You got the Dolphins when they went undefeated.
Would you put the Chiefs teams that went back-to-back in there or no?
Maybe. You got to put one of the Patriots in there.
Yeah.
You got to put, if you're going to do it, you got to put one of the Chiefs. And then where it would be like, I think Patriot and the Chiefs, we can switch. And you got the Bears. The Bears had a year when they went 15-1. So those 3 teams for sure. And then one of the Chiefs within their dynasty and one of the Patriots within their dynasty. And the year that we had, it's interchangeable in my opinion.
Yeah.
So 5 or 6, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, put y'all through a little history lesson. Yeah. Got to know the game. Got to know the game.
About those teams, to be honest.
Stay back, Deniz. Stay back. Don't fight him.
No, it
must have been hard for you to watch.
I wanted to back him up. No, I'm all about that. I talked about this right after the Super Bowl, and actually wanted to revisit this because at the time we were distracted by so many things. Of the last 25 Super Bowl champions, this is the true media era, which is why I can't go before 2000.
I love that, the true media.
The Eagles Super Bowl championship team had the best combined EPA per drive, offense and defensive side of the ball combined. Whether you exclude garbage time or not, either way, they were the best.
Ranking or just total? Like,
best out of those 25. Total EPA per drive, like offense plus defense. If you look at the 798 teams in the True Media era, this is since 2000, those 25 seasons, the Eagles were the 5th best by EPA per drive of all the teams. The 2007 Patriots were first. Yeah. They lost the Super Bowl. The 2005 Colts were second. They lost in the divisional round. The 2001 Rams were third. Team. They lost the Super Bowl. And the 2019, I know Saquon mentioned the 2000 Ravens, who were not very good by that measure, but the 2019 Ravens, who lost in the divisional round, were 4th. So the Eagles were the 5th best team out of 798. This is regular season and playoffs combined.
In the True Media era.
In the True Media era. And the only one of those two win the Super Bowl. So a lot of arguments could be made. I know Jeffrey Lurie also talked about, like, was this the best team of all time? A lot of arguments could be made that it was the best modern Super Bowl champion.
I don't think it's far off.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Team of your dreams.
I know that's right. Do you guys want to hear the other part of the Saquon interview that I think is funny? Well, not funny, but no, this is funny. The other one wasn't funny, and there's plenty to watch with this episode. Hope you all enjoy it and check it out. But this is probably my favorite part.
And we go to Australia next year.
That's over there. You flat earther. That's over there.
We had some good conversations in the training room this morning about some conspiracies.
What's one of the wildest things that you said back?
Yeah, but you've seen like a round globe, but you've also seen like a
map.
Like laid out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I mean, why would you draw a circle?
Yeah, but like
you can't put everything on.
But like the way they would draw the map, like it would be like, our continents, and then like there's we were talking about this earlier. There's like a wall of like, I think it's like the Antarctica is like an ice wall, and then they believe like there's more continents outside.
Bro, that's crazy.
So like if you like think about it,
blows
like,
my mind.
Like have you ever seen King Kong versus Godzilla?
Yeah.
So like you go like in the inner.
Oh, like the inner?
Yeah, I sound nuts right now. It's like you go like in the inner crust, like the inner crust or whatever.
It's like another.
And there's like a whole nother outside. So like if you go to like some of these walls. Like,
so you've seen the wall before?
I never seen the wall, bro. What'd you think, bro? What like, how would I get?
That's what I'm saying. I'm
just talking about like, we all have those nights you can't sleep and you're on TikTok or IG Reels and you go do
somebody starts talking.
Yeah, someone. Yeah, no, and then like you can't, like they don't allow you to go so far.
How do you know that?
Just because I saw it on the reel. Like I can't just be like, my source is TikTok. Like that's not like a good source.
Well, you just said it.
Might
but
be
like,
a decent source though.
Like that's what I saw it on, and it's just like
bro,
I don't know. What trips me out though is NASA originally started in the water.
Yeah, I saw that. That's crazy.
So
that's creepy.
What do they? Yeah.
So they have done more space exploration than they had underwater.
So NASA originally
what's
started,
under there, dude?
Yeah, they really started like to explore the depth of the oceans, in which we only know like what's the number?
Dude, it's a small percentage.
That's why I don't mess with the ocean.
I don't mess with the ocean. Like even if I like say we're going on vacation, and like how everyone jumps off the yacht and like they're like,
no,
I'm in and out that mode.
That scares
me. Now you get out away from shore. I ain't never been on a yacht, so you have more experience than I do.
You never been on a boat?
No.
Listen, you're a Super Bowl champion. After this, our OTAs, go take yourself on a weekend, take your lady out there, and
go jump off a boat.
Jump off a boat. Hold her hand, jump off a boat, and get the hell right off. And I can swim. I can't swim actually. I can swim. Everyone thinks they know how to swim until you in the ocean.
Well, till you tread.
It's just adrenaline.
Yeah, that's OD.
Adrenaline.
And then something hit your leg, and you like, oh shit, like, you bugged out. Yeah, I'm tripping.
Hey, I'm telling you, I get that feeling when I'm like 5 feet, like offshore.
Another thing, this is my last thing. Like, we got 9 planets, right? But like, there's another planet. It's called like Planet Nibiru.
Ain't that a moon?
Nah, bro. It's like a planet.
It's in our solar system
that only rotates in our solar system at a certain time every so many thousand years. And then like there's like a thing like people like they think like the Anunnaki's on there and like it's I don't know, bro.
Like
what?
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Like Star Wars
gods.
People? Oh,
and they were here and they like help people. They're gonna think
like
crazy.
Marvel?
Nah, not like Marvel.
Like
but
Thanos?
They like kind of created the human race.
No way.
Yeah, there is a planet that comes in every so often in our solar
It's not
system.
Pluto, is it?
Nah, Pluto's a night planet, gang.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. It's a night planet.
But it used to be not like they used to be.
Yeah,
It's a planet. No,
when we
it's
were kids, it was. Then when we were in high school, it wasn't, and now it is again.
I thought it was just like a star. I thought they were saying it was like just a star.
Then it was.
But now it's a planet.
It's cold.
It's considered a planet now.
Pluto's not the cold one,
Pluto is the farthest away.
but it's not the cold one.
Which
How's it
one
not
is
cold?
it?
What's the one that's cold?
Pluto.
First
How's
of
it
all,
not
hold
cold
on,
if
let's
it's the
name.
furthest
Let's
away from
name
the
them.
sun?
Let's name them.
Mercury.
Go
Hold
ahead.
on.
You build this.
Mercury.
You
Start
build
with
this
Earth.
Earth.
Earth
Which
is
one's
3.
Earth is 3.
3.
Mercury, Venus.
That's close to the sun. Right?
Mercury. No, it's 4.
Earth is 3.
Mercury, Venus, Mars, Earth.
Oh,
No,
we look like
Earth
dumb.
then
We look
Mars.
like dumb football players right now.
Mercury,
Mars?
Mercury, Mercury, Venus.
What was the song? It wasn't like a song.
Mercury, Venus.
Earth, Mars.
I don't know, bro.
We can make it.
It's
Jupiter.
no.
Hold on, I'm not talking about. I'm just talking about. I'm like we
You're
named.
down the line.
Yeah, like
Start
Jupiter,
Oh,
Pluto,
that's okay.
Venus, Mercury, Earth, Mars,
Saturn.
Saturn. Yeah, there we go.
Uranus.
That's. Why did you?
How old are we? How old are we? Uranus is the cold one. Pluto's not the cold one. Pluto's like dark.
It's the farthest away.
Pluto's the
But I don't
furthest away
mean-
from the sun.
I don't think.
So Pluto's not a planet.
Hey man, I don't make the rules.
I don't know why I'm fighting you.
I don't make the rules.
Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus. That's 7.
You gotta grow up, bro. You gotta
You
grow
looked
up.
at me.
You gotta grow up.
Neptune.
How did they do they
Neptune's
not
the last
do they
one.
not teach kids anymore? My very educated mother just served us 9 pizzas. Did you guys
We
know
will
that?
get to that in just a minute. In
Overtime.
Nice. Very good one.
all right, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's it. That's all.
No, there.
I mean, I know Pluto's not one of them anymore, so it doesn't have the pizzas anymore. But
I don't want to give away privileged information, but there was an outstanding producer in the room who brought up that device you brought up after the fact to tell them. So yeah,
There's a song that was on a classroom playlist that we've listened to in the car. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and it goes on science songs. It's a good banger.
I want to tell the audience, by the way, like that shot right over there, and in our studios. It's awesome to have the Exciting Mics as part of the PHLY network here as a partner. But they answered, if you watch the show, they answered a question that Professor Selman wasn't here, but that Fran and Bo and I discussed, which was what happens in the Met Gala.
Here's your teaser.
And you
Got
can
an
find
answer.
out. Saquon told you exactly what happens in the Met Gala. So make sure. Now
And
there's
how
more
does it involve those gods who created the human race?
I don't,
Not related.
Not the Met Gala.
also,
No.
I might need to reconsider my vacation plans for this summer now that I know Pluto's not cold. Something I learned from Saquon.
No, he said it's not a planet.
But he said it's
said
not
it's not
cold.
cold. He said it's not
said it's
cold.
not cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's not what he's paid for.
But look, the cool thing about that show is when they're around just talking, and that's what the locker room's like right there. I've heard debates similar to that in the locker room.
Yeah,
Locker
that's
room
very
talk,
true.
if
Yeah,
you will.
that's very true.
Yes,
Yeah.
locker room talk.
It's a good point.
Yeah. I look forward to the Wet Dreams episode.
Also, Fran, Saquon is really high threshold for leg.
I feel like in overtime I can lean back.
Yeah, I think so.
That's the
Just setting a high bar for the
the
amount
legs?
of legs. Yeah, exactly. You're gonna have to up your
yeah. I
game.
mean, he did. It felt like a shot across your bow to come and do it in your place.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it's like 50 degrees in Philly today, I would decide to go pants. Maybe we'll get back to shorts next week.
Okay.
Get back to showing some more skin.
Zach, what's your favorite wet dream memory?
Nah, don't have one to share. So
Okay.
yeah. What about
But
you?
you do have one that comes to mind.
Willing to share.
I know. What about you?
You know, I gotta be honest. I don't think I ever had a wet dream.
No. Okay.
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 Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. Raise your hand if you had a wet dream.
By the way, if I answered the question that way, you'd be like, no way, that's not true. Yeah. That would be.
No, I wouldn't.
Yes, you
No,
would.
because that's my lived experience.
Okay.
I don't know. Grant, nothing. Deniz, Professor?
Emily reminded me before I came here that I work at an institution with Title IX rules.
Yeah.
And to not discuss this topic.
I'm trying to stay employed for as long and as well as I can. So I'm avoiding this topic here. I didn't even know if I could say it on air. I'm not going to answer that question.
It's this I find, not you, but the idea that like the phrase "wet dream" is a taboo part of the vocabulary is insane to me. It's a thing. It's physiological.
Purportedly.
Well, yes.
Yeah. For 3 people upset, I guess. Maybe not for all of us.
CDP with the super chat says, should Sirianni be worried that Jeffrey's behavior yesterday will result in refs being more strict on the Eagles, especially on tush push plays?
I think that there is definitely a chance that they over.
But it feels like they were already doing that.
I know, but I could see them turning that knob a little bit more.
Yeah. What more is there left to do?
The
lining up offsides.
The lining up offsides, the movement of the ball, I think all the formation stuff, absolutely.
It's just like the defense is offside almost every time. And the Eagles are not actually doing anything illegal. And so it would be so, I don't know, transparent if they did it. But I guess, do you think what happened? Do you guys remember when Sean Payton complained about the pass interference and they got it passed so that it would be reviewable, but then they never reversed even obvious ones? Mm-hmm. What was that about? I'm wondering if it's going to be something like that, where someone was upset about it getting reversed, and they told the officials to basically never reverse it, so they could get rid of it 1 year later. Are you thinking something like that will happen, where they try to make it such a, I don't know, unwatchable thing because of all the flags that they then will have more leverage to ban it next year? Is that the idea?
Potentially, I guess.
I don't have an answer for you.
I do think it's going to be called in an extraordinarily strict way. It's funny that
only against the offense, though. You're saying
yes, yeah.
I mean, because the defense, they're all offside.
No,
they're all in the neutral zone.
But the NBA always gets accused of the fixes in conspiracy theories, when you can literally go onto their website and watch the lottery being drawn, right? But the NFL, something that they can call something like this in a way that compels teams not to even bother with it or something like that, and it wouldn't be portrayed that way. Interestingly enough,
another super chat we have from our good friend Mikey Phased says, after that clip, I'm a little closer to Deniz's view of Saquon.
I've never seen him more satisfied than he is right now.
Getting the last laugh.
That's the most satisfied you've been in the true media era.
I thought Saquon was awesome on this. Look, we have the solar system temperature chart. Great job, Tyler. Appreciate that. So it is in fact cold. Yes,
but it's not a planet.
Yes,
not a planet.
I thought Saquon was awesome on it. I appreciate him coming, and he was such a good sport about everything that day. So
yeah, he was also very good at Reed and Cooper are new at this.
Yeah,
Saquon's a seasoned veteran of being on camera. He was doing a good job of sort of bringing them along a little bit. It was good.
Yeah,
very very comfortable in front of the camera. He wants to be Michael Strahan, and I think that's a reasonable thing that he could accomplish.
And also,
you're trying to pick apart what that means.
I was waiting for the
real
turn
sentiment
there.
behind that.
Right. Yeah.
No, I mean he's well on his way to that kind of media career. That's all I'm saying.
You sound like Jalen. They look like they really enjoyed it.
Yeah. No, and he was also very normal too, which in the sense I've been around down the roster players who have this handler and that handler, and Saquon's he's just riding the elevator.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it was cool. We appreciate it.
All right, so Zach, where are we in the Eagles calendar now that we heard from some guys on Tuesday? Nick got his extension. What's still to come?
Next week, OTAs, they're on grass next week. So they're on the field.
They're not getting tested.
Yeah, let's hope there's no testing. Yeah,
they're on the field next week. So they've been in the off-season program. So they've been they've been going through workouts, but not like an actual practice. We'll see an actual practice situation next week. Looking forward to that. They're on the field Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday next week. We'll be there. The media will be there one of those days.
Most likely Wednesday.
My guess is Wednesday. They typically don't like to have us there the first day.
Right.
And then Friday, they like to kind of rush out, have their weekend, so they don't want to stick around and talk to us after the practice on Friday. So deductive reasoning would suggest Wednesday would be the day that we get to watch and talk to them. And eager to see who's out there, who's not out there. Eager to see Keely Ringo. There's a lot of them I'm looking forward to watching. Yeah.
Younger than Quinyon.
Quinyon, yep.
What is it? What from your standpoint, Fran? What do you evaluate during OTAs? What do you care about?
You like to see
this
is
too much football for overtime.
You like to see what the new skill guys look like. Outside of that, is everybody is the operation going crisp? It's a new offense, quote unquote. How do the guys look running it? But not too much. Yeah,
I always think of it. We've said this many times, but it's less about who looks good and more like who doesn't.
Yeah,
with skill guys, right? Like if you're a guy whose game is built on speed, and in this setting,
Lorenzo Booker,
you don't look dangerous,
right? Yep,
that's kind of an issue.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, as an example, last year it was clear to us Isaiah Rodgers can play, right? That was one of our takeaways right away, and you saw that. I mean, so yeah, you're not seeing much from O-line, D-line this time of year, but skill guys, quarterbacks. We'll see the way the ball comes out of Kyle McCord's hand. Looking forward to that.
Was Anais Smith an example?
I was just going to say, last year's rookie receivers, how do they look this week?
Frankly, Anais Smith is one of the players I'm most interested to see this week.
Because he had a bit of an injury.
Right. And so, if he doesn't look dynamic on the field, that will be a red flag.
And my hope is that either this upcoming week or the week after, but hopefully this upcoming week, we will speak to Vic Fangio and hear what Vic has to say. Because he's usually pretty honest about things. And so Jahad Campbell's a big question here, some of replacing some of the players that they lost. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, what sexual innuendo can Vic give us now that we've heard from Jeffrey, Howie, and the rest?
What are the options?
There are many.
How much time you got?
Overtime's about to go. We're about to go double overtime.
I have 21 or 19 minutes. So
okay. I don't know. Maybe check his search history.
Check whose?
Vic's.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
Anything else? Anything you want to weigh in on before? We're not going to talk to you until next week. So.
Until next week, I can hold some of my thoughts till next week.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the way that the Eagles have flipped the roster on defense. You've got some thoughts on that. I look forward to that conversation.
Yeah, and not flipped it on offense. The contrast there, yeah.
Okay. Thanks, guys. This was fun.
This was fun. I always enjoy four-person show, or whatever. 4-person show.
All right. That'll do it for the PHLY Eagles podcast. We will talk to you tomorrow at 2:00. Fran, you're going to join us as well, I believe. Yep. That'll be fun. Maybe we'll figure out some kind of draft that we can do. Look forward to that. Check out the Exciting Mike's episode with Saquon Barkley. And, by the way, didn't mention it today. We talk about all the smack about the Packers. Just to remind you, you can win a trip to go to the game in Lambeau. If you go to allphly.com/PSTFansweeps, enter, win, ticket for 2. All expenses paid, travel, hotel, game, and get to show Mark Murphy your tush. Should be a lot of fun. For all of us here, thank you for watching and listening. Thank you to Tyler for running the show today. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 2:00. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.